Like drug smugglers in a speedboat or a fully laden log barge, super funds are sending their fossil fuel holdings overboard. According to green finance activists, market forces, 11 out of 14 leading default funds are selling off shares in oil and gas producers Woodside and Santos. Australian Super's default fund ditching a whopping 41.3% of its Santos holdings.
Divesting from fossil fuels is a great way not only to send a message to Big Super about the fact that you no longer want them to invest in yesterday's dying industries, but it's also a great way to protect someone's retirement savings from the big transitions that we're now seeing.
And these high-profile Freo fans agree divestment is the way to go, demanding the Dockers give major sponsor Woodside the old heave-ho.
The Dockers don't need Woodside. The Dockers, I think, would get alternative sponsorship. And Woodside, on the other hand, needs the Dockers to hide the damage that they're doing.
Had a real heart, send them down below.
But out west, that's easier said than done. They might need to sort out a new training venue too.
Clearly half of our economy in Western Australia is resource related. So it's hard to avoid having relationships with resource companies.
The mining industry is a fantastic industry, but I don't really want to weigh into the debate in terms of what particular sports people may choose to do or not to do.
And that debate is raging after Cricket Australia announced the end of its Alinta Energy partnership.
Turn it off, mate!
Pat Cummins, the climate-conscious Test and one-day captain, kind of denied he was responsible for spiking that deal.
That's a fabrication. I think it's probably stretched exactly what happened.
He did confirm he's filmed his last Alinta ad, though.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
A win for the planet, but perhaps a loss for the acting profession.
You got it.
Clearly, we're not alone. The momentum is gathering.
But while the tide is turning, the fossil fuel industry still has plenty of powerful friends.
They perhaps should take a leaf out of the Queen's book, who was able to stay above politics and be revered by all.
But I just say to the players, if you don't have sponsorship, naturally you're going to have pay cuts.
Where is your money? Are you invested on the right side of history, or is your super fund investing in this dying industry?
Well, Dan Illich is a satirist turned climate crusader turned angry stakeholder, and we caught up with him a little earlier. Dan, how hard is it to actually be an ethical investor?
Guys, I have to come out and be clear with you. I am a dirty hypocrite. I talk about climate on my podcast. I encourage people to be more climate friendly, and yet my own money, my own superannuation money, is funding fossil fuels. And I had no idea about it. Host Plus, which is my own superannuation, which has got literally tens of hundreds of dollars in it, is funding fossil fuels to the point where they've actually increased their stake in some fossil fuel companies up to 16% over the last 6 months. If you want to complain about the floods, you want to complain about the fires, come to me. I'm really sorry.
The outrage is fine, Dan, but a lot of people say that you're supposed to be keeping a closer eye on your super, and given your whole vibe, the climate gear and all that, surely you should have been keeping an eye on this.
This is the thing, I wasn't. I just did whatever the barefoot investor told me to do. And let me tell you, the barefoot investor, no, you have to move your super. So that's kind of what I'm planning to do in the next couple of weeks. So it's very easy to move your super. It takes like 5 minutes. All you need is your super number.
Dan, sorry to interrupt, brother, but if it was very easy to do, why are you going to do it in the next couple of weeks and why haven't you already done it?
This is absolutely correct, Tommy. I've got my iPad right here. I'm going to do it right now on air.
Okay.
This is all of a sudden Studio 10. We're doing like live demonstrations.
So if it's super or if you're a sporting club with a sponsor, is there any evidence that suggests that actually kicking up a stink about it changes policy?
I think it certainly does. I think there's the election we just had is really indicative of how the electorate feels about climate action. We saw a whole political party be dismantled thanks to a whole bunch of people who stepped up wanting to do more on climate. Like 75% of Australians want more action on climate. And that's when we're all trying to figure out how to get that, we all need to use our own power in a way to affect that change. We all might not be the captain of the Australian cricket team, but some of us have a few $100,000 that they can move to another fund to do better on climate.
Well, Dan, not many people own up to being a hypocrite, so thank you for doing that tonight, and thank you for your work.
If there's any way to put a Dan Illich massive hypocrite on the screen right now, that would be really good.
Sorry, I was waiting for it to pop up, but apparently there was a bunch of people in the control room going, no, we can't do that.